What's the matter?
Unwrap the cord.
Unwrap the cord. Okay. Now I think we look professional. That's the one thing neat about Toastmasters, that they're always learning and you never outgrow being able to learn something. Tonight we are privileged to have a young man with us who has not only served time, but was a Toastmaster while he was incarcerated. And after he got out, he continued his association with the Toastmasters clubs. In fact, he belongs to a club in Council Bluffs. James Eaglefeather is a young man that started out on the wrong side of life, but has ended up on the right side of life. And he's here today to share with you a little bit of his story. Help me give a rounding of applause and welcome to James Eaglefeather.
I once read that paradise lies in the shadows of swords. Paradise lies in the shadows of swords. To me, this means that whatever it is you want, you have to fight for it. No matter if it's a better position in the workplace or a higher position within your circle of friends. Or if it comes to matters of the heart, matters such as love, happiness, or even simply peace of mind. Whatever it is you want, you have to fight for it. Thank you, Madam Toastmasters, greater communicators, honored esteemed guests. My name is inmate number 1133952, and this has been my identity for nearly 2 decades. In 1998, at the age of 18, I committed armed robbery, and for that, I served 18 and a half straight years. My first 7 years of incarceration was very difficult. I went into prison with that street mentality, that gangbanging mentality. I was a Crip. I was raised in the streets, by the streets, and this mentality carried over to prison. Needless to say, that solitary confinement had become a revolving door for me, in and out, in and out. But it was on October 8th, 2005. That's when I had this grand epiphany. I was in solitary confinement for threatening the guard. I don't know if you're familiar with the prison setting, but if you threaten one guard, you threaten them all. And they made me pay. They made sure I paid. But again, I had an attitude. I was mad at the world. I was 18 years old, stuck in a maximum security penitentiary. And to anybody, that is rough. Again, I was sitting in solitary confinement. And I was just so full of anger, frustration. I was so full of rage and hatred. I remember screaming, cussing. I remember threatening. I remember banging on the door with bloody knuckles, wishing that a guard would try to come in my cell to try to hurt me. I was ready. I wasn't going to let him do it a second time. When I was a kid, I put a hole in the wall. My mama was furious. I mean, I was a bad kid anyway, but putting this hole in the wall was a breaking point. I was like 5, maybe 6 years old, and she threw me in the closet, and she slammed the door shut. I mean, she slammed it so hard that the door got stuck. And I remember sitting in there in the darkness, crying. I remember feeling cold and alone. I remember her on the other side crying, asking for my forgiveness. Her boyfriend at the time had to take the doors off the hinges in order to get me out. 20 years later, in 2005, I was sitting in solitary confinement in Fort Madison, cell block 220. The cell I was in was G2. It was originally a closet that they converted into a cell due to overpopulation. So my cell was half the size of a regulation cell. And I remember one day I was losing my mind. I was hallucinating. 220 within itself was built in 1897, so it was dark. It was wet. You can constantly hear the drip of water. And the screams, the cries that you hear from other convicts, it weighs on a person. And knowing that at any given moment, somebody can come through my door and do something to me, that weighs heavily on the person's mind. Because these are the people that was there to protect me. Yet those are the person at the time I had feared. I remember I was having an episode. I remember I was hallucinating. And I know I was hallucinating because I could hear my mama on the other side of the prison door trying to open it, trying to get me out, begging for my forgiveness. And behind me, I heard this teeny, tiny cry for help. And when I turned around, it was me. I was that child. In my hallucination, I saw myself as a 5-year-old child. And I went to him. And I held him. And together we just cried. To me, it was so real. It felt real. I felt that child's tears in my arms. And I remember telling that child that he has a long, tough road ahead of him. I told him there's going to be a lot of misery, a lot of loneliness. I told him there's going to be a lot of people that want to hurt him. But I told him he got to be strong. He has to be strong. I told him that no matter what, they're going to try to break you, but you can't be broken. And even though I was talking to the 5-year-old me at the time, that gave me strength. It brought me back from this hallucination. Again, this was October 8th, 2005, I remember it. And it was there, in the darkness of cell block 220, cell G2, that I began to dream, that I began to hope, that I began to see something besides the negativity in life. And it's from that day forward, I was able to hold my head up high. After I got out of solitary confinement, I found a group. That group was Toastmasters. At that time, I had a communication problem. Every other word out of my mouth was some type of profane language or gang related. Toastmasters helped me develop an extended vocabulary where I can express myself. And I've come to realize that all the anger, all the frustration I was feeling was from lack of communication. I didn't know how to express myself without getting angry. I didn't know how to express myself and be assertive without becoming aggressive. It was a long, long road. Nothing changed overnight, but it was a road worth taking. The title of the speech is Spiritual Warfare. That's because on April 3rd, my first book was published. That book is Spiritual Warfare. It was a book that I started that day in solitary confinement. That day I found that hope. That day I began to dream. It took a while to get published, but I'm finally there. My next book is coming out January 27th. And I continue to dream. And I continue to hope. Thank you.